Doja Cat has taken a little bit of a dark turn in her career, but what does it mean? Does it mean that she's sold her soul to the devil and joined forces with the evils of Hollywood's most elite? I don't know about that one. If you look at the real message, saying all that just kind of proves her point. So let's dive into the meaning to see what her recent album Scarlet is really all about. My name is Kyle J. Shower and welcome to the Kyle J. Show. Doja Cat has always been a controversial figure, but she really turned it up a notch in the past year. She shaved her head, shaved her eyebrows, got a couple of new tattoos, and the media all lost their shit.
Paint the Town Red by a woman who named herself after her cat and a marijuana strain. Yes, folks, there used to be a Western civilization.
She received a ton of hate from it, but she wasn't afraid to go at anyone for their comments and critiques of what she was doing with her life. And this resulted in her losing almost 1 million followers in 1 month. But shortly after this, she released her album Scarlet, and even with all the bad press, the album still hit all the top charts and had incredible commercial success.
Great success!
No matter your feelings towards her or her music, the woman is one hell of a creative force. In music alone, she's been able to seamlessly move through genres from pop to rap and even metal. Outside of music, she's made a name for herself in fashion, and on the side she has a passion for painting, which she picked up from both her mom and grandma. The seed born out of the testicles of her familial line is full of beautiful artistry.
Huh?
All her creative talents in music, fashion, painting, and whatever else she does are brought together and put on full display in her music videos, which is where we'll be spending most of our time today. I'm not a music critic, a fashion critic, painting critic, or even a music video critic. I'm a meaning critic. And leading up to her album Scarlet, Doja Cat released 3 shocking music videos that left people deeply opinionated on what they might have meant. The unconventional and horrifying visuals for Attention, Paint the Town Red, and Demons had people everywhere speculating that the meaning of this dark shift in her artistic style was because she joined the Illuminati and became a Satanist.
When the f*** did I say that I was a Satanist?
Maybe she is a Satanist, but I don't know her personally enough to say whether she is or isn't. But you probably don't either. But what we do know is that she's an artist, and her creative roots run deep. Speculations can get really out of hand when we forget that this is Doja Cat's art. And the meaning of art often goes far beyond the literal thing that you're looking at. It's sad that meaning has been so neglected that I have to remind people that art is symbolic. All the visuals are communicating something to us. And I want to look at what that might be in a way that does justice to the art, the artist, and myself. Using visual imagery that appears occult or demonic doesn't necessarily make it evil. You can find depictions of demons painted in churches all across the world. That famous Christian guy who wrote all the Narnia books, C.S. Lewis, he has another book where he writes from the perspective of being a demon. We even toss around phrases like, we all have our demons, or bro is fighting demons. To take it even a step further, much of modern psychology encourages people to recognize and face their demons as a part of the therapeutic process. Psychologist Stephen A. Diamond has a quote that's very relevant to Doja Cat and the rest of this video, saying that our demons must be deliberately brought to light and cognitively restructured. Within each of these 3 videos, we'll see the 3 individual narratives that show Doja Cat's journey to recognizing, conquering, and redeeming her demons. Doja Cat has been pretty open about the fact that sometimes she creates music for the vibe, the feeling, or just something people can have fun with. However, she makes it clear that her song Attention is not so much about the vibe, it is more about the message.
Attention is not really a song. It's like more of like a piece. It's a message.
The song starts with the chorus that talks about some it that needs attention. And whatever it is, it seeks, fiends, and is hungry for attention.
Hungry bitch.
She gives it these animalistic qualities, like you can pet it, or that it doesn't bite or get aggressive. This description all sounds very demon-like. Symbolically, a demon can be seen as that internal force that calls us to act upon the darkest parts of ourselves. And this demon she's talking about appears to be the part of us that longs for attention. To some degree, we all have this natural desire for attention. And along with that comes this inexplicable force that pushes us into fulfilling this deep-seated desire. In the music video, you can see this desire for attention play out in the dynamic between Doja Cat and her fans shown in the first scene. As she's driving down the street, fans and paparazzi are all giving her attention in hopes that she will give them some of her own attention in return. But she just continues to drive along, ignoring them.
It's subtle, but it's like, I'm paying no attention.
As the camera pans through the crowd, you see them all look kind of crazed, psychotic, and some of their faces are even distorted and monstrous looking. In and of itself, our natural desire for attention isn't bad or good. But in this case, the part that we call demonic is the part that represents the negative aspect of attention. When one becomes overly consumed with this desire, it can turn you into something monstrous. With her rise to fame, I'm sure Doja Cat is very familiar with the dark side of attention, especially from all the fans and tabloids that obsessively stake their lives on her every word and action. As the camera lights flash, we begin to see glimpses of Doja Cat dancing almost fully naked. This visual, in tandem with her soft, airy vocals asking me to pet it, gives me the same vibe as a siren from Greek mythology or some type of temptress who seduces people into something self-destructive. This dancing version of herself might represent the demonic side of attention we've been talking about. This tempting spirit is within herself just like it is with everyone else. But her depiction of the psychotic-looking fans seems to communicate that they've already been consumed by this demon and given themselves over to its destructive ways. In the lyrics of the verses, we see her first-hand experience with the destructive side of this desire as she reflects on all the attention she's received since becoming a public figure. She looks at all the shit people have given her over the years. Things like she needs therapy.
D. You need to see a therapist.
She's ugly.
I ain't sad you won't me.
Or she fell off.
Talking about she falling off. Why she get booked?
A lot of pretty fucked up stuff. And in the video, all this is visually represented through the way she's treated as she walks down the street. She then begins to give some commentary on this dynamic of attention between the artist and the audience. To her, the attention we give artists is no longer directed on the right things, like their art.
You follow me but you don't really care about the music.
And then the attention we want to get from them isn't directed at the right things either. It's more about getting some ridiculous or controversial reaction out of them.
Cause we all wanna see them slip and fall right on their faces.
She recognizes that these distorted ways we look to give and receive attention all come from a place that's actually kinda depressing.
Now I feel like I can see you bitches is depressed.
All this comes from the way we failed to deal with our own personal demons. It's clear to her that they've consumed us because of the way we've chosen to direct our attention towards things that are destructive and tear people down. In the second verse, we get this shift in visuals. As she continues to walk down the street, everybody now is wearing masks.
And it didn't really mean that much to me. I think the people walking down the street was just more for like the movement and the ambiance and the feeling and the vibe. It did later kind of resonate with me, like those people are the people on social media. Right. It's kind of how a lot of people have interpreted it. And I like that a lot. I agree with that. That wasn't really what was on my mind at first though.
Man, I love when artists can look back on their work and see meaning like that. When interpreting certain visual art and even deeply metaphorical language, there are typically unconscious layers that aren't even realized until later down the line. Sometimes hearing other people's interpretations can open your eyes to things about the art that you never even saw before. But anyways, the same way people wear masks on the street, people mask themselves and hide behind their screens on social media. Additionally, one's face is typically representative of their identity. And in this case, their identity has been consumed by the desire for attention. Doja Cat seems to be aware of this and chooses to go against the crowd, and in doing so, she keeps her identity intact. We also get a shift in visuals between the choruses. In the first two choruses, Doja Cat's naked dancing is depicted under the surface of water. But in the last chorus, her dancing is much more out in the open, and this underwater effect isn't used as much. It might be that as she's grown in fame and grown as a person, she's become more and more conscious of this desire for attention. And with this, she ends the video walking in celebration with fireworks going off in the background. It seems that as she's become more conscious of the things within herself, she chooses to take a more positive approach to it.
So the fireworks kind of represented this breaking through the threshold of feeling like you are trapped somehow.
This dancing demon that seeks, longs, and fiends for nothing but attention has broken through the threshold and brought into the light. What was once repressed has now metaphorically and literally exposed itself to the entire world. And becoming fully conscious of the desires within herself, she takes this idea of attention and rather than applying it in a way that's negative, she uses it towards something positive in her life. This is what it means for one to restructure their demons. She chooses to take this desire for attention and direct it towards things that truly matter to her. Things like her art, her music, and the people that she's actually close to and not strangers online. Now, before we move on to the next video, I want to go back to something I intentionally skipped over. The most viewed part of this video is actually at the top of the second verse when we're first introduced to Scarlet. Scarlet is the subject of her hottest controversy in the video and has been identified to be something like her alter ego. There's something about black female artists and their alter egos that really triggers people. Beyonce's Sasha Fierce, Nicki Minaj's Roman Zelensky, and now Doja Cat's Scarlet has conspiracy theorists and the radical religious losing their minds. They claim that these alter egos are actual demons that have possessed these artists because they've literally sold their soul to the devil in one of Hollywood's secret sacrificial blood rituals. Doja Cat in particular has a disdain for these interpretations.
It's really tacky and annoying and fucking discredits a lot of the hard work that I've put in. It discredits a lot of the hard work that a lot of people have put in.
In this channel, I really try to respect and give credit to what's being created. So I'd like to look at Scarlet in this way and not jump to conclusions. And in the next video, Paint the Town Red, I believe we get a much closer look into who Scarlet is. Paint the Town Red is Doja Cat's biggest song off her album Scarlet. It hit #1 on top charts all across the world and was even nominated for a Grammy. The song slaps, and in my opinion, the video just takes it up a whole other level. This was the video I watched where I knew I had to do a video on Doja Cat. This song seems to pick up right where Attention ended. Through her journey of recognizing and restructuring her demons, she's become more conscious of herself and who she truly is. Within the lyrics and the visuals of this video, we see a side of Doja Cat that we've never seen before, and it all starts with Scarlet. The video begins in black and white with Scarlet sitting at a table, turning on a record, and then she pulls her eye out. She sets her eye down, and as she knocks it off the table, we get sent into a completely different setting. Symbolically, you could connect this back to the idea of attention. What you set your eyes on is what you place your attention on. Popularly stated by Jesus Christ, if your eye leads you to sin, pluck it out. So this might represent her leaving behind the negative or sinful side of attention. And as the eye rolls off the table and sends us into this new colorful and bright setting, we get to go beyond what's on the surface, and I like to think we're entering the mind of this character Scarlet. In this realm, we get some pretty striking visuals, but understanding where they all come from might help us interpret what's going on here. On her YouTube channel, she posted footnotes for this video where it gives a little background, and one of the things it mentions is that the visuals for this music video bring to life 3 paintings created by Doja Cat. Paintings are one of the most powerful ways people have creatively expressed themselves for years, and it's been said that through a painting, we get to see a glimpse of how one sees the world. Once we enter this new realm, we get a close-up on Doja Cat, and as it zooms out, it's revealed that she's on top of a green-horned monster. The footnote said that it's from a painting she titled Beast. One who rides the beast is a pretty common motif we've seen most recently in Dune, where Paul has to prove himself by riding the sandworm, or House of Dragon, where the Targaryens have this unique ability to ride and control dragons. One who rides the beast represents one who's conquered the beast, and that's what Paint the Town Red is all about. In this case, the beast is not to be confused with the demons recognized in our prior song. In Attention, the demon was a representation of an internal struggle. The beast, however, is meant to represent a more external struggle. For Doja Cat, the beast is us. We as fans and media have been possessed by the demon of attention within ourselves, and we project it in the ways that we talk shit, we hate, and we criticize her life. Collectively, we've turned into a beast that's been tormenting Doja Cat ever since her rise to fame. So she actually went on Instagram Live while she was painting the beast, and I don't find it coincidental that in the midst of this session, she starts going off on the viewers for what they're saying in the comments.
I used to like your music, but you treat your fans like shit. Dude, literally suck my cock. Take my cock in your mouth and suck it. And fucking take it all the way down your throat and shut the fuck up.
It's almost like she purposely went online to get herself pissed off and channel that energy into the painting. As the beast is revealed to us in the music video, we hear a sample of Walk On By Dionne Warwick. The original song is all about this heartbroken woman telling her ex not to console or grieve for her, but to just walk on by because they're done. He's no longer relevant to her life. In similar fashion, Doja Cat is severing her relationship with the public and going her own way. She's been hurt, scorned, and abused, but she's cutting the relationship off and healing her wounds through this anthem of self-confidence and self-love. She's gonna keep saying the things she wants.
Yay bitch, I said what I said.
Looking the way she wants.
I don't need to wear a wig to make you like it.
Doing the things she wants.
I'm doing things they ain't seen before.
And if you don't like it, you can go ahead and f*** off.
I don't care. I paint the town red.
All the lyrics point to this idea that the beast no longer has a hold on her life. All the things that have been said about her and all the narratives surrounding who she is are now being redirected towards what she wants them to mean in her life.
I'm doing what I can slowly but surely to separate myself from this kind of narrative or whatever this world is that I kind of built. And I'm fine-tuning it and tailoring it to what I want out of it.
By taking control of her narrative, she takes control of her life. And by taking control of her life, she takes control of and conquers the beast. The conquered beast, at her commanding will, drops her off into the next painting. Here we see her posing with the Grim Reaper, a personification of death itself. Alongside him, she's dressed in all red, and it looks like this unique interpretation of a wedding dress that might symbolize her intimate relationship with death. If Grim Reaper is the king of death, then Doja Cat is the equally powerful queen. She parallels the painting of the Grim Reaper to another painting of a demon-like figure with a sawed-off horn. In the video, once again, she inserts herself into the painting as having some type of intimate relationship with this demon. By the way, I love the costume design. Top tier! While there's similarities in the fact that she has a relationship with both death and this demon, there's a lot of ways in which they oppose one another. The setting with death is out in the open, bright and full of color, while the setting with the demon is cave-like, dark and dull. Her relationship with death seems to be a bit more fun-loving. Oh, I love that so much. On the other hand, the relationship with this blue demon kind of feels like they're going through a bit of a rough patch. It even appears like she was the one who sawed off his horn. But the most significant difference is the opposites of life and death. The Grim Reaper obviously represents death, and in the other depiction, there's this demon fetus that represents life. Through this opposition of life and death, I think we get a deeper insight into the meaning of this song and also her alter ego, Scarlet. Doja Cat has gone through a journey of restructuring her demons and conquering beasts. All of that is not something that leaves you unaffected or unchanged. It can be a very life-changing process and symbolically seen similar to that of death and rebirth. Sometimes a part of yourself needs to die in order for you to birth something better in your life. She mentions how this whole process and the difficulty of it is meant to be depicted in Scarlet.
Scarlet is basically a symbol for the reimagination of the self or the rebirth, just a new beginning. Her being kind of covered in blood is to represent how she's been pushed through, the effort that you have to put into pushing out this new person and the birth of this new creative or this new thought or this new way of style that you're expressing.
We call it the miracle of life, but that miracle requires pain, suffering, and hard work. At the top of that clip, Doja Cat calls Scarlet the reimagination of the self. In pop culture, we refer to Scarlet as an alter ego, and while I get that, I think Scarlet comes closer to a term used in Jungian psychology known as the self. Capital S, self. This is the center of who you are. It includes everything about you. To Carl Jung, the guy that Jungian psychology is named after, the goal of therapy and even of life is to go on a journey that finds yourself. Through the process of death and rebirth, Scarlet has been born, and it seems to show that Doja Cat has begun to find that center.
But I think with this project, it's allowed me to find a center. And so I'm slowly creeping towards the centeredness of myself.
All this talk of death and rebirth, beasts and demons, it's all just symbolic psychological talk for the ways in which we grow and the battles we all have to face to undergo personal transformations. If you wanted, I guess you could use a more literal, extreme interpretation, but I don't really see that being the optimal way to look at this context, and it doesn't really benefit anybody.
Fans ain't dumb, but extremists are.
This new turn in Doja Cat's art is an expression of the personal journey she went through to get to where she's at today. Understanding all this, we can move on to the last video we'll be looking at, where she gives her most shocking expression of the entire experience. Demons. The video for Demons pays homage to the entire genre of horror. In the attic, we see a painting called The Nightmare by Henry Fuseli. We get references to movies like The Shining, Poltergeist, Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch, Amityville Horror. I don't know, she gets the horror archetype so well that it seems like she could be referencing hundreds of movies. We even get the main character of the video played by Christina Ricci, the 1990s Wednesday Addams. And to top it all off, she includes one of the most common horrifying phenomenons in the human experience, the sleep paralysis demon. Now, a lot of people see the entirety of the song, the music, and the video is just rage bait. We all know controversy sells, and there's arguments made by some that she's only doing this for the sake of profiting off of all the negative attention. Maybe this is true, but in her own words, she offers a different perspective.
I like the idea of I did it on purpose, and it's this big ruse to like make people react.
Right.
But I also like the idea of I love this piece of visual art. I like this visual for this sound.
By intentionally combining these visuals and sounds, Doja Cat expresses the horrors of life, and in doing so, she's brought us a glimpse of hell on earth, which is exactly what the genre of horror is intended to do. It takes our deepest fears, the scariest things you can imagine, and places them in a work of art so that we can experience the darkest, most terrible aspects of life. However, she breaks away from many of the traditional motifs of the genre, and rather than presenting the horrors of life as a manifestation of pure evil, she celebrates these horrors. Even more so, she seems to fully embrace, accept, and embody the demonic. It's a very extreme depiction of this idea of turning something negative into something positive. This theme runs throughout the song and lyrics, where she embraces certain attributes that we perceive to be negative.
I'm a puppet. I'm a sheep. I'm a cash cow.
We've labeled her as a sellout, and she might even accept that she's been a sellout in the past. But either way, she's fucking killing it.
I'm the fastest growing bitch on your apps now. You are mad at me cause I am all they slap now.
It was all a part of her journey to finding success as an artist, and more importantly, finding who she really is and bettering herself from it.
I am on to bigger things. I just quit the nicotine.
We can hate all we want, but where she's at in life would have never been possible without all those parts of her that we've chosen to demonize.
How my demons look. Now that my pocket's full. How my demons look. Now that you bitches shook.
You can take this idea of celebrating your demons as a dark, awful, evil message born out of Satan himself. Or we can take this positive twist on demons and the other horrors we experience in life as a message that we can use to improve ourselves, the same way Doja Cat claims it's improved her own life. I'd really encourage you not to be so quick to dismiss this perspective. It's been found in much of ancient thought and even taken up in modern academics, specifically in the realm of psychology. So I want to conclude with this idea that Doja Cat is tapping into the symbolic significance of our demons. A literal interpretation of the narratives found in Attention, Paint the Town Red, and Demons has many saying that this new direction Doja Cat has taken with her album Scarlet is demonic. But when you respect art as communicating something that's symbolic and listen to the intentions of the artist, the message she offers isn't demonic, it's daimonic. This is a term I've been alluding to throughout the entire episode without explicitly stating, and Doja Cat never explicitly states it either, but whether she's heard of the term or not, she's done a great job at identifying and expressing the concept through each of these videos. I mentioned earlier that something like attention isn't bad or good in itself, but rather it's what we choose to do with it that determines the outcome. You could take other natural human inclinations we have, like sex, anger, creativity, and many more, and within each one there's a potential for good or evil, creation or destruction, benefit or harm. If you happen to watch my last video on the Lego movie, it was all about recognizing and stepping into the creative potential within us all. But in my post-credits segment, I added that it's equally important to recognize the consequences of that potential. In psychology, the Daimonic describes that internal force that calls us to step into the totality of our unknown potential, both the parts that are constructive and destructive. Hey, you should tell them that you were hired by the elites to convince people that Doja Cat isn't actually a demon. What? Why would I do that? I don't know, just to with them. It's funny. No, tell them about Socrates. He had a little voice inside his head he called a daimon. It helped guide him through life and make difficult decisions. Yeah, helped him get real f***ing dead. Don't listen to this cuck. I know what you should do. You should tell them that you're a demon. That's how we go viral. No, a demon would only have you on his shoulder. He happens to have us both. He isn't demonic, he's daimonic. Holy mother shit, you are the fucking worst. Listen, I'm trying to get rich ASAP. I find your language deplorable and unappealing to a mass. I don't have time for this. You guys need to get out of here. We can talk about this later. You see, we all have these internal forces that urge us in a particular direction. For most of us, it's not a literal person or a literal voice in your head, but explaining it that way can help conceptualize what the experience is like and learn how to deal with. While reflecting on humanity's natural desire for attention, Doja Cat seems to stumble upon this idea that our inherent desires, drives, and inclinations are not demonic, they're daimonic. All these things that people have demonized, and maybe even things that she's demonized about herself, are actually things that when properly directed can be used towards something constructive. This is not just a mere perspective shift. This is a shift in your very being, how you live your life. In Paint the Town Red, she expresses this shift in her life as a symbolic journey of death and rebirth. Her alter ego Scarlet was born, and she places herself in company with Socrates and other artists who have listened to their internal voices to help guide them through our external reality. With this newfound ability, or I should say this newfound way of being, Doja Cat chooses to take her life, her art, her narrative, all into her own hands, and in doing so, she conquers the beast, and they all live happily ever after. Hey, you were great. No, you were great. Man, you guys killed it. Hey, that was good.
Just kidding, we're not done here.
The daimonic is the totality of your potential. And with that comes humanity's greatest accomplishments, but it also comes with humanity's greatest horrors. To reach your greatest potential, you have to be willing to face the darkest aspects of yourself and the world. This is the overarching narrative that's communicated throughout the entire album of Scarlet. Even in the artwork. Look at that. Doja Cat actually hates spiders. She's terrified of them.
I'm sorry, I don't like spiders. I'm gonna put a f***ing glass bowl on top of it. Oh shit! Oh shit!
But she deliberately chose to take the thing that terrifies her most and put it on the cover of her album.
I have a really bad fear of spiders.
Okay.
The spider's supposed to represent me coming face to face with my fears.
Throughout everything we've looked at today, the songs, images, videos, we see Doja Cat expressing her journey into conquering her fears. She sees that the process of confronting your greatest fears is the path to discovering your greatest potential.
And this whole album is supposed to represent a transition and a kind of conquering of fear.
If we're being honest, most of us try to avoid, ignore, and get rid of the things we fear most in the world. We even try to rid ourselves of things inherent to our humanity because their destructive potential can be so terrifying. Things like sex, anger, creativity, or even the desire for attention are demonized and labeled by some as sinful or immoral. To deal with the horrific potential of humanity, we try to deny our potential completely. I mean, we basically got rid of the word daimonic entirely from our vocabulary. Have you ever heard of it before? I didn't either. Until like last year. But listen, no matter what we do, the potential for good or evil isn't going away. As a part of Doja Cat's journey, she finds this idea of the daimonic and depicts the experience to us in the music video for Demons. She gives us an opportunity to join her in facing our fears. The solution to dealing with the worst parts of life is not to repress, deny, avoid, ignore, or demonize them. The solution is to accept their reality. Face them for what they are and choose to control them. When you have control over the daimonic, you can direct the forces within you towards something constructive rather than something destructive. So I'm gonna imitate what she's done, starting with the way I find the meaning in her music. Rather than taking away a message that views the art and the artist as something negative, I choose to take away a message that's positive for my life. A message that encourages us to face our fears, conquer them, and control them, all for the sake of creating a better life and a better world. Alright, if you want to hear a bit more of this idea of the daimonic, stay tuned after the credits. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. What's up, motherfuckers? So the daimonic was first used in psychology by Carl Jung. I mentioned him a lot in my videos. But then it became more well known because of a student of his named Rollo May. And then it was really expanded upon by a student of his named Stephen A. Diamond, who I happen to quote at the top of this video. He has a book called Anger, Madness, and the Daimonic, the psychological genesis of violence, evil, and creativity. And this whole video was really inspired by that book, but I just didn't have time to get into it that much. If you get a chance, there's a lot of really great stuff to check out there, but one of the key points I wanted to end on is this relationship between the daimonic and creativity. Diamond proposes that the way to deal with the destructive side of our potential is by filtering it through the creative act. He cites people like Pablo Picasso, Herman Melville, Beethoven, and many more who have filtered the daimonic into their art. Now, of course, the creative act looks different for different people, but I thought you might find that useful as you go through your journey to find constructive uses for your potential. I don't know, at some point I might do a whole video on this idea, but for now I'll just leave you with that.